Love, in the most beautiful imaginations, is always described with sweet words, with heart-melting phrases. But in reality, there is a paradox that few dare to face. People can say they love you without actually loving you. She used to believe that she was loved by gentle words, goodnight messages, promises to be together forever, until one day, when she needed him the most, an unexpected accident, an afternoon in the hospital, a moment when only his presence was needed. He disappeared, no explanation, no message, no shadow. And then she began to realize, true love is not in promises, it is in the silence, where no one witnesses. There, you don't need someone to say, "I love you." You feel it by their presence, by the way they step forward when everyone else retreats. This is where so many of us get it wrong, because for centuries, especially women, we have been taught, listen to what he says. If he says he loves you, he loves you. But if every word can be memorized, what is real? True love, it doesn't need to be learned. It doesn't need to be emphasized. It doesn't need to be repeated. It shows in the way people choose to stand by you when no one asks them to. Carl Jung once said, "People will do anything, no matter how absurd, just to avoid facing their own soul." That's true not only in psychoanalysis, but also painfully true in love. There are people who love you not because they truly want to care for you, but because they are afraid of being alone. They want to feel needed, important. But that's not love. That's filling. And filling is never enough, because it doesn't come from the heart, but from emptiness. So how do you know if a man truly loves you, when words have become so easy to fake? The answer is not in the late-night text messages, not in the "I'm sorry" after a fit of anger, not in the birthday flowers or the familiar holiday greetings. The answer is in the actions, especially the actions that happen when no one asks, when there is no reason, when there is no reward attached. We are living in an era where love is commercialized, exaggerated into visible actions, checking in at fancy restaurants, writing long captions on social media, making all kinds of promises before doing anything. But then when something happens, when you need them to listen, to be there, to work things out together, they disappear and leave you with the question, "Didn't you say you love me?" So the most dangerous thing is not being unloved, but believing you are loved when all the signs say otherwise. The most dangerous thing is the illusion. It is reading the emotional map wrongly, seeing a heart where there is only habit, seeing care where there is only obligation, seeing love where there is only possession. That is why you need to learn to read the real signals. You need to know what is meaningful action, what is real presence. Because if you don't, you will fall into a loop where people make you hope, then disappoint, then come back as if they never hurt you, and you will continue to give, wait, wonder what you did wrong, without knowing you are asking the wrong person. In this video, I will show you the clearest signs to recognize whether a man truly loves you or not. The signs don't come in words. They don't come in one-off gestures. They come in a series of silent, so way yet consistent, so way actions. And if you stick around until the end, I'll reveal to you the final key, so you can not only know if someone truly loves you, but also if you're settling for less than you deserve. Because true love doesn't make you ask, chase, or do more to be kept. True love is where you can be yourself and still be chosen every day. Starting this moment, I want you to let go of your image of love based on sweet words. I want you to be willing to see the truth. His love wasn't heard, it was seen, and that's where our journey begins. A man can say, "I love you" 1,000 times, but if he disappears when you need him most, all those words are nothing more than an echo in the void. On the other hand, a man may not say those words often or even very little, but you always feel his love in every little thing he does. Because love, when it really exists, doesn't need to be shouted out loud. It's engraved in every silent action, every unseen choice, every moment when he could have done something else, but chose to be with you. This is the most common mistake that many people make, thinking that love has to have a clear form, that it has to have words, that it has to have big, dramatic expressions. But the truth is that true love is usually quiet. It doesn't need to be beautiful. It doesn't try to impress. It simply is there, at the right time, in the right way, without needing to be recognized or applauded. A man who truly loves you doesn't need to say too much, because he knows that words, if not backed up by actions, are just empty words. He doesn't send you sweet messages every night just to reassure you. He's there when you're tired, when you're quiet, when you don't have the strength to tell him what you're going through, and you don't have to beg him to be there. He's there even before you call his name. You can tell this from the little things. When you complain that you're tired, he doesn't say take a rest and then disappear. He'll ask you if you've eaten, even bring you a bowl of porridge, or leave a few words of advice in the fridge. When you're having trouble at work, he doesn't say keep it up and then go about his own business. He asks, listens, and if possible, helps you untangle each knot calmly. Think back. How many times has he done something for you without you having to remind him, without you having to suggest it? How many times have you felt loved, not because he said it, but because he chose to act? Things like how he remembered you liked chamomile tea, so he brought it with him when you were on your period. Or how he walked around the house just to make sure you locked the door before going to bed. That's love. It's where words can't reach, but actions have already written the truth. True love doesn't need to be demonstrated. It's patient, silent, steadfast, and most importantly, it doesn't change with circumstances. A man loves you not when everything is going well, but when you're lost, vulnerable, unattractive, untalented, and still chosen. It's most evident when there's no reward, when no one is looking, when there's no reason other than his genuine feelings for you. Carl Jung said, "The shadow always accompanies the light, but we often only see the light." Likewise in love, people often look at what is easy to see: gifts, words of love, beautiful pictures on the internet, but forget that the darkness is where the true nature is revealed. The man who chooses you when you are weak, confused, and have nothing left to give, that man truly loves you. But on the other hand, there are men who say they love you every day, but disappear when you need them the most. They leave you alone to face the pressure, the hurt, the painful days without even asking, "Are you okay?" And then when it's over, they come back, as if nothing ever happened. That's not love. That's convenience disguised as emotion. It's staying when it's easy, and leaving when it's time to commit. A real man doesn't make you feel insecure every day. He doesn't make you wonder, what is he thinking? Does he still care? Did I do something wrong? Instead, you feel at peace, not because he always says what you want to hear, but because he is consistent in what he does. Not always sweet, but always honest. Not always physically present, but always mentally present. You don't have to constantly guess where he is, what he's doing, or what he's thinking. Because you know, if he has something to say, he'll say it. If he has something to do, he'll do it. He doesn't create ambiguity, so you have to find a way to keep him. He doesn't need to worry you to feel important. His love is a refuge, not a battlefield. And remember this, actions never lie. A person can lie with words, with eyes, with smiles, but not with habits. Behavior can never be faked for too long. When you observe long enough, you'll see that true love is not about flash, but about regularity, like a heartbeat. If it's too fast, it's abnormal. If it's regular, it's real life. So the next time you want to know if a man really loves you, don't ask, just observe. When you're sad, is he there? When you are not good, not happy, not lovely, does he hold you? When you do not need gifts, just silence beside you, is he quiet enough? True love does not need to be asked, it is witnessed. And when you start looking with the eyes of observation, instead of the ears of listening, you will see clearly who likes you only when it is easy, and who chooses you even when nothing is comfortable. Because the man who truly loves you does not say, "I love you" every day, but every day, he does something so that you never have to doubt it. And sometimes, the greatest thing a person can do for love is to be there without being mentioned. There is a common but dangerous mistake in modern relationships. People equate the initial intensity with true love, but if love exists only when emotions are high, it is no different from a wave. It comes strong and then recedes quickly. True love, on the other hand, is not a flash in the pan. It is a steady, consistent flow over time. Mature love is not a whim. It is a decision that is repeated every day, even when the emotions are no longer so intense, even when the initial excitement has given way to real life. A man who truly loves you will not only love you when you are easy to love, when you are beautiful, funny, attractive. He will still choose you when you are sad, when you are moody, when you are not as bright as when you first started. That is the difference between true love and a temporary feeling. Imagine a flame. If you pour gasoline on it, it will burn fiercely, but only for a moment, and then go out. But if you feed it with wood, steadily, quietly, persistently, it will burn through the night. Love is like that. Intensity can be addictive, but only consistency brings a sense of security. And in a relationship, there is nothing more precious than the feeling he is still here today, as he was yesterday, and maybe forever. If you are in a relationship where you do not know if he will love you tomorrow, if he will still care about you, that is not love. Love does not make you confused. It does not keep you awake at night, wondering what is going on. A man who truly loves you does not make you guess his moods, monitor his expressions, fear his every word, because he is stable, and so are his feelings. Many people mistakenly believe that if love is no longer passionate, it is a sign of fading. But true love doesn't need drama. It doesn't need tearful tantrums and make-up sessions. It doesn't need drama to feel important. It just needs to be sustained in a simple, genuine way. There's nothing more attractive than someone who's there, rain or shine, whether you're up or down. Carl Jung once said, "Meeting is a beginning, being together is a process, and going through everything together. That's true love." A man who truly loves you doesn't disappear when things stop being easy. He doesn't retreat when the novelty wears off, when you stop exciting him. He doesn't seek out new experiences just because you've become familiar. On the contrary, it's that familiarity that's the foundation on which he builds something lasting. Ask yourself, does he still care about you after 6 months as much as he did in the beginning? Does he still ask you questions after he's gotten used to everything you've ever told him? Does he still look at you with respect, not because you are new, but because you are valuable? If the answer is no, then most likely he does not love you, but only the feeling you bring in the beginning. A man who loves with emotion will love you fiercely, but only when things are going well. A man who loves with choice will love you quietly, but even when things are complicated. And you will feel the difference, not by how they come to you, but by how they stay. Not by the first gifts, but by their presence after years. Not by the promises of happiness, but by their actions when things are difficult. Love does not need to be climaxed. It needs to be consistent. If a man truly loves you, he will make you feel at peace knowing that you do not need to be interesting every day to be retained. You are not a new song. You are a symphony that he wants to listen to all his life, even though he knows every tune. That consistency is not only shown in his actions, but also in his respect, in his behavior, in the way he doesn't make you feel disrespected just because you've been together for a long time. A man who truly loves you doesn't leave you wondering, does he still love me, just because he's cold today. He doesn't make you the one who has to cling, change, try harder to get back what you once had. So when you want to know how much someone loves you, don't just look at the first days. Look at how they behave when familiarity takes over from excitement. Look at how they stay when attraction gives way to responsibility. And most importantly, observe when there's nothing special anymore. Does he still treat you special? True love is conscious repetition. It's choosing each other, even when you don't have to. It's not about staying because of obligation, but because their heart is still with you, even after everything that made them fall in love in the first place. If a man makes you feel chosen every day, not with promises but with consistency, then that's love you can trust. And it's love you deserve. Every relationship will have conflicts at some point. But what makes the difference between true love and a half-hearted relationship is how people deal with those conflicts. Because love is not measured by peaceful days, but is tested in the most difficult moments. When things get complicated, when misunderstandings happen, when anger arises, that's when you realize who truly wants to stay and find a way to resolve it with you. A man who truly loves you will not disappear when there is a problem. He does not use silence to avoid, does not use time to ignore, does not leave you alone in a mess of emotions just because he needs time to think. Thinking is not disappearing. And maturity does not come from walking away every time things go wrong. In love, everyone has times when they get angry, when they disagree, when they do not understand each other. But true love doesn't make you feel left out in your relationship. A man who truly loves you knows that an argument isn't a battle to be won. It's an opportunity to understand each other better. He doesn't see disagreement as a threat to his ego, but as a natural part of two different people learning to love. Carl Jung once said, "No one becomes enlightened by imagining light, but by making darkness conscious." The same is true in love. Moments of tension, conflict, that darkness that if not looked at directly, not faced honestly, will slowly destroy everything. A man who is willing to sit down with you, even if he's hurt, even if he's tired, to tell you the truth, is a man who is capable of loving, not just emotionally, but with responsibility. Look back, the last time you and he had a conflict. How did he react? Did he listen or interrupt? Does he stay silent to avoid or stay to clarify? Does he try to understand what you are feeling, or does he immediately defend himself to protect his point of view? If you are always the one who has to untangle the mess, always the one who has to speak first, apologize first, or give in because you are afraid of losing him, that is not a balance, and it is certainly not a solid foundation for love. A man who truly loves you does not consider your emotions as a nuisance. He does not say you are too sensitive just because you are hurt. He does not ignore your discomfort just because he does not want trouble. On the contrary, he wants to understand. Even though he is not good at expressing his emotions, he still chooses to stay. He is not good at words, but he does not leave. He does not avoid by saying, "Let's talk about it tomorrow," then leave you alone to face your unfinished emotions. Because for him, love is not just being there when you are happy. It is not turning away when you are in pain. Many people think that conflict is a sign of a bad relationship. But in reality, long-term stable couples are those who know how to resolve conflict, not those who avoid it. Because every conflict is a test to see if you can walk through it together. And a man who is willing to walk through it with you, not walk away and come back when things have cooled down, that is the man who is capable of building real love. Pay attention to how he apologizes. A real apology is not "let it go," nor is it "I'm sorry if you feel bad." It is a sincere acknowledgement of a mistake, a desire to make amends, not just to let things go, but to make the relationship better. If a person apologizes just to silence you, then repeats the same behavior, that is not repentance, that is emotional manipulation. And if after every argument, you feel more lost, feel like you are the wrong person, feel that love is fading, then be honest with yourself. Are you in love with a man who is willing to grow with you in love? Or is he just someone who wants everything to be smooth, as long as he doesn't have to face the difficult things? True love cannot only exist on sunny days. It needs to be tested in storms and needs to be tempered through misunderstandings and disagreements. If he chooses to stay, chooses to understand you, chooses to fix things with you, that is trustworthy love. On the contrary, if he is only there when things are good and disappears when there are storms, that is convenient love, not true love. A man who loves you will not let small conflicts accumulate into big distances. He will not let you sleep in silence. He will not let you live in doubt just because you two have argued. He will sit down, take your hand and say, "I am not perfect, but I want to understand, I want to stay, and I want to make this better." Because in love, presence in difficult times is the strongest proof. Not roses in calm, but companionship in storms. And if he does that, not just once but many times, you will no longer have any doubt that love is real. One of the most common misconceptions in relationships is that if you truly love someone, you have to be the same, have the same opinions, think the same way about everything. But love is not about melting. It does not require you to give up yourself to become the easier version of yourself in the eyes of the other person. On the contrary, true love can only exist when two people are allowed to be different. They shall choose to respect each other. Respect is not a social act. It is the deep foundation of any lasting relationship. When a man truly loves you, he does not need you to agree with everything he says. He does not feel threatened by your own perspective, your own feelings, your own reactions. On the contrary, he sees those differences as part of who you are, and he cherishes them. In mature love, no one is a copy of anyone else. Differences are not distance, but opportunities to learn. A man who loves you will never be sarcastic about you just because you don't share his views. He won't try to impose on you or make you feel like you're overdoing it or wrong just because you express something different than he does. He won't see you standing up for your own views as stubborn or obnoxious. Instead, he'll listen, and even if he doesn't agree, he'll still respect you. Carl Jung talked about the process of individuation, a journey in which a person becomes more whole by accepting the whole person, including the parts that are different from everyone else. In a healthy relationship, you don't have to lose your individuality to maintain peace. You don't have to compromise your values. The solitude just to be loved. A man who loves you won't make you choose between love and who you want to be. You have the right to differ from him in your outlook on life, your perspective on things, and even your future plans. And if he truly loves you, he won't see those things as threats. He won't use his silent power to punish you for thinking differently. He won't torment you with comparisons or withdraw his affection just because you disagree. Love isn't about absolute agreement. It's about being able to coexist with your differences. Observe honestly. When you express opposing thoughts, does he listen? Does he ask why you think that? Or does he immediately cut you off and deny it? When you want to do something for yourself, learn a new skill, develop a project, meet up with friends, does he support you or make you feel guilty? Love doesn't require you to shrink to fit someone else's expectations. If you have to shrink yourself to keep a man, that's not love, that's control. A man who loves you will feel proud of you for being strong. He will encourage you to move forward, not fear that you will get out of hand. He doesn't need you to behave to feel safe in the relationship. On the contrary, he believes that true love is when you both can be yourself and still choose to go together without strings attached. Respect is also in how he responds to your emotions. A man who loves you doesn't ridicule your emotions. He doesn't call you oversensitive, annoying, or complicated just because you're hurting. He doesn't make you feel guilty for being honest. He understands that emotions aren't something to judge, but something to be heard, even if he doesn't always understand them. And most importantly, he doesn't take away your freedom. He doesn't control your phone. He doesn't control your friends. He doesn't set conditions for the existence of love. A man who loves you doesn't need you to report every hour what you're doing. He won't limit you just because he lacks confidence. He understands that trust is the foundation, not the cage that holds you in a relationship. You don't have to change your interests, your habits, or your dreams just to be kept. True love supports, not forces. It makes you feel respected, not just because you're good, but because you're valuable, despite your differences. And if someone makes you constantly adjust yourself, suppress your thoughts, soften up so he doesn't feel threatened, that relationship isn't safe. It's control, dressed up in love. Respect for differences is the deepest sign of mature love. It shows that the person doesn't just love you when you're cute and nice. They love the whole you, even when you disagree, even when you argue, even when you're not perfect. If a man still looks at you with love, even when you disagree with him, if he still chooses to hold your hand, even when you just bluntly refuted his point of view, if he still sees you as a companion, not someone who needs to be tamed, then you are with a man who truly loves you. And that love is not only beautiful, it is strong enough to accompany you throughout your journey. There is something important, but often overlooked in relationships: a sense of security. People are easily attracted to romance, to passionate words of love, to sweet gestures at first. But what keeps us in a relationship for a long time, what makes us feel truly loved, is not roses or gifts, but a sense of security, a deep, solid feeling that cannot be faked. Security does not come from words. It comes from consistency in actions, from the person not leaving you guessing, not making you chase after him, not making you ask yourself over and over again, is he cold today? Did I do something wrong? Am I still important? A man who truly loves you will make you feel clearly you are loved, you are chosen. You do not have to make an effort to keep what is inherently yours. When you love someone who makes you feel safe, you no longer have to play a role. You don't have to pretend to be happy when you're sad. You don't have to pretend to be strong when you're weak. You can be yourself with all your imperfections, your confusions, your silent moments, and still be loved. That's the clearest sign of a mature love. It doesn't love the image you project. It loves the person you try to hide. A man who loves you doesn't make you wait for a response. You don't have to check your messages constantly. You don't have to worry, will he say I love you today? Or will he be mad at me? Security is built on simple but lasting things. He texts when he says he will. He calls when he says he will. He comes when he says he will. And if something happens, he tells you, no guessing. Carl Jung once said, what is not consciously controlled by you, you will call it fate. In love, if you constantly live in anxiety, in ambiguity, in a feeling of insecurity, sooner or later, you will accept it as normal. You will call it unpredictable love, an interesting relationship. He is a little different, when in fact, it is a constant insecurity, eating you away, little by little. True love does not make you feel like you have to compete for attention. It does not make you feel like a temporary choice, does not make you do something to deserve the other person's affection. A man who loves you will make you know you are enough. Even if you do not try, you are worthy. Even if you are not perfect today. Ask yourself, in your current relationship, do you feel at peace? Or are you tired? Do you feel like if you don't keep the fire burning, things will cool down? Do you feel like you're holding on so that the relationship doesn't fall apart? If so, you might be in a love that lacks foundation. Because true love doesn't need you to hold it together. A man who makes you safe doesn't use the disappear to make you miss him, be cold to make you worry, or keep your distance to make you feel afraid to lose him. He doesn't play mind games. He doesn't manipulate emotions. He doesn't make you feel like you're in love, but like you're fighting. He's clear, honest, and consistent. You know when he's upset. You feel when he needs time. And most importantly, he doesn't leave you guessing. Security doesn't come from never arguing, but from knowing that even when you do argue, your love won't disappear. Even when you disagree, you know that your value isn't diminished. He doesn't make you feel like you can be left behind. He makes you feel like no matter what, he'll be there to help you figure it out. Security also comes from giving you space to be true to your emotions. When you cry, he doesn't tell you that you're too weak. When you're angry, he doesn't leave because you're overreacting. When you express your fears, he doesn't use them as a weapon to manipulate you. A man who makes you feel safe is someone who makes you feel like I can let it all out and not be judged. You don't have to be the most comfortable version of yourself to be kept. You can be messy, you can be quiet, you can have days when you don't want to say anything. And he's still there, not loving you less, not seeing you as a burden, not making you feel like you have to adjust to fit some expectation. A man who loves you doesn't make you afraid of losing him, because his love isn't built on withdrawal. It doesn't have conditions. It doesn't come with if you do this. True love is when you know that even at your worst, you have someone to hold your hand. Imagine a day when you can't ask him, "Do you love me?" Only actions remain as evidence. Do you still feel loved? If the answer is yes, then you are truly loved. If the answer is no, then it is time to take a second look. A mature love will not leave you in doubt. It will not make you wake up every morning to guess the other person's attitude. It will not make you sigh with relief every time he texts back, as if you have won the lottery. True love does not create constant tension. It is a place where you feel protected, not a battlefield where you have to be on guard. And if there is one thing to remember, it is this: a man who truly loves you will make you feel safe, not because he is good at sweet talk, but because he does not let you doubt his love. He creates a space where you can breathe, can be real, can trust, without needing to verify. And it is that safety, not promises, that is the foundation of lasting love. True love, if there is one single defining characteristic, is clarity. When a man truly loves you, you know it. Not through words, not through gifts, not through fleeting romantic moments, but through the consistency, the peace, the stability he brings. You don't have to be a touchy-feely person to know what's missing. You just have to be honest with yourself. Are you living in clarity or in a gray zone of half-truths? Do you find yourself guessing, trying to keep someone at all costs? Or are you being held, chosen, loved unconditionally? If love makes you feel lost, makes you compete for attention, makes you strain to not be left behind, then it's not love. It's insecurity in disguise. It's a habit called attachment. And perhaps deeper still, there is the fear that nothing better is waiting for you. But the truth is, you deserve more. A love that doesn't make you doubt. A person who doesn't leave you in doubt. A hand that is always ready to hold you, not just in the easy times, but especially when you are at your weakest. Carl Jung once said, "We do not find the light by imagining it, but by looking straight into the darkness." Sometimes, what you need to do is not to continue hoping for a love that has exhausted you, but to have the courage to look straight into reality. The truth doesn't hurt. Pretending does. So, if there's anything you should take away from this video, it's this: real love doesn't make you doubt. It doesn't make you wait. It doesn't make you a detective in your own relationship. It doesn't require you to be perfect, to be worthy of love. True love is where you can be yourself, where you don't have to beg for love, prove your worth, or sacrifice too much for a temporary existence. And if you've ever settled for less than you deserve, remember, it's not your fault, but from now on, you have the power to choose again. Choose a love that you don't have to guess. Choose a man whose love is seen, not heard. Love yourself enough to never settle for a love that's not certain. If this video resonated with you, subscribe and turn on the notification bell. We're not just talking about love here, but about the journey back to your true self. See you in the next video, where we'll move forward together, stronger, more conscious, and more worthy.